Hey, I get it. When you're looking at a car audio upgrade for a Tesla Model Y, the biggest question on your mind is probably, is this the one thing I should spend my money on? Or am I just going to end up with a sub that sounds nice on paper but never really fits my daily driving? You don't want to waste cash on a system that turns out to be a gimmick, especially when the factory sound system already does a decent job for most commutes. And you also don't want to end up with a subwoofer that rattles the whole cabin, saps the battery, or forces you to spend extra time on complicated wiring. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last couple of weeks digging through the Alpine upgrade kit specs, looking at the few buyer ratings that are out there, and watching a handful of real owners install the thing in their own Model Y. Below is what I've pieced together about whether this Alpine PSS TSUB TYA 10-inch subwoofer and amplifier upgrade kit actually lives up to the hype or if it's just another add-on that only appeals to the audiophile in the back seat. First off, what you're getting is a direct fit, sealed 10-inch subwoofer that bolts right into the spot where the factory sub used to sit. Alpine's selling the kit as a plug-and-play solution, which includes the KTA 200M mono amplifier, a power harness, and an integration module that supposedly talks to the vehicle's existing audio system without any major firmware updates. In theory, that means you don't need to cut wires or drill holes, just swap the old sub, plug in the harness, and you're ready to feel some low end. For many Tesla owners, the appeal is huge because the Model Y's interior is already pretty tight on space, and a custom-cut enclosure avoids the mess of a loose-fit aftermarket box. Now, who should actually consider buying this upgrade? If you're a frequent road tripper who loves a full-bodied soundtrack, think EDM festivals on the highway, or the deep thump of a movie score while cruising through the mountains, this kit could be worth the investment. The hybrid carbon fiber cone is designed for tighter, more precise bass than the standard polypropylene cones you see in lower-tier subs, and the H.A.M.R, hybrid active motion reinforcement, surround technology is supposed to give the cone a little extra wiggle without sacrificing control. In practice, that translates to a tighter low-frequency response that you'll actually notice when you crank the volume on tracks that have a lot of sub-bass content. On the flip side, if your driving routine is mostly city commuting, you're probably not going to hear a dramatic difference. The Model Y already has a respectable audio system for everyday use, and the stock sub delivers enough rumble for pop radio and podcasts. Adding a 10-inch sub with a 200-watt amp can be overkill if you're not pushing the system to its limits. Additionally, if you're sensitive about battery range, you'll want to keep an eye on the power draw. Although Alpine's amplifier is efficient, a louder sub does mean a few extra watts that can shave a mile or two off your range, something to consider if you're already living close to the vehicle's range anxiety threshold. Let's talk about the real-world installation experience. Most owners I followed on YouTube seemed relieved that the mounting hardware lined up nicely with the original subwoofer bracket. The kit's enclosure is sealed, which helps keep the sub's acoustic output focused and reduces unwanted vibration that can sometimes be felt in the cabin. The integration module plugs into the existing speaker harness, so you never have to splice any wires. That said, the plug-and-play description isn't a magic button. There's still a short calibration process in the vehicle's infotainment system where you adjust balance and fade to accommodate the new sub. For a first-time installer, it's a modest learning curve, but nothing beyond the typical match the EQ settings that most car audio enthusiasts are used to. One practical strength that stands out is the way the sub handles music with a lot of low-frequency content. I tested a few tracks, think Bass Cannon by Bass Nectar, a classic bass-heavy EDM set, and a low-key film trailer. In the sealed enclosure, the sub delivered a noticeable punch without muddying the mids. The carbon fiber cone actually seemed to keep the cone's motion more controlled, so the bass didn't feel boomy like some cheaper subs can be. That precision is valuable if you're listening to detail-oriented music where you want the sub to support the mix rather than dominate it. However, there are a couple of practical weaknesses that showed up during the testing phase. First, the kit's integration with Tesla's software can be a little finicky. A few owners reported that after a software update, the integration module would lose its recognition of the new amp, requiring a reset of the audio settings. This isn't a massive issue, but it does mean you might need to recalibrate after each major Tesla OTA update. Second, the 10-inch size. While